Hey gang, this is the third step on our adventure south. I'm in western Arkansas right now at a place called Mount Tabor. We are surrounded or in the Ouachita National Forests. Just to the south here, I believe, is Big Lake, Lake Ouachita. It is an unbelievably beautiful area here. The roads, the signs say crooked and steep, and believe me, they are. You've really got to be watching the road. Anyway, Mount Tabor here. This is Mount Tabor Cemetery, and a very interesting character here. What brings us here is a suggestion from Cheryl Daggs, one of our viewers and subs, who actually has another story I'm going to be leaving. And about an hour and a half away from here on my way to Texas, we're going to do that one too. So, hey, thanks, Cheryl. Very cool. So let's take a walk, because we're going to walk to the grave of the Real Rooster Cogburn. Have you seen the movie True Grit with John Wayne? That's right. There is such a man, and he is buried here, so they say. Very famous movie that was done by John Wayne. Of course, the character had a kind of a one-eyed character. Close this here, with an eye patch. And I can tell you, many of us have seen it. It was a great movie. Had no idea it was based on a real character.
What are they doing?
They're smelling around. You see Cheney?
Can't make out their faces.
Oh, that's Ned Pepper, all right.
Well, some people believe that the real Rooster Cogburn was actually one of Judge Parker's, the hanging judge out of Fort Smith, one of his deputies, a guy named U.S. Marshal Calvin Whitson, who was the only one-eyed deputy marshal there to serve in Judge Parker's court. And we'll talk about that, but don't think that he was the guy. There was a book that came out by a grandson of this man. His name is Brett Cogburn. So, you think of the last name. It's got to be the guy. Anyway, I did not read the book. I cannot recommend the book, but I found a cool outtake from it. Seems like a good book. I'll put the reference in, just for convenience and not marking anything up. I don't know the author. But it might be worth checking out. We can all do it together. But one thing I did find online that I thought was very interesting was from True West magazine. You guys know Bob Bose Bell, one of the respected Western frontier writers. I really like him. He did an interview back March of 2011, and this book is called Rooster, The Life and Times of the Real Rooster Cogburn, the man who inspired the movie True Grit. And that is the John Wayne movie we are talking about, True Grit. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. And there's not it's really hard to find information on this man. Any information that is reliable. But I'm going to read an outtake that True West did on an interview with Brett. And I'm going to just kind of read you some of this as we walk here to his grave. And it'll give you a flavor for what's in the book. And I gotta believe this is truthful and factual as best we can tell. So from the book, John Franklin Cogburn, nicknamed Rooster by his Uncle Page, and this is written by his great-grandson Brett Cogburn. While he never packed a badge, Franklin was quite familiar with the operations of the deputy U.S. Marshals riding out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. And on June 21st of 1888, Franklin, with the aid of his cousin Fayette, attacked a posse of those stalwart lawmen during a raid on moonshiners near Black Springs. Deputy Marshal J.D. Trammell was killed in the gunfight that followed. 6'3", dark-eyed and a dead shot with a rifle, Franklin was as hard as the Rocky Mountain ground which reared him. The only authority the Cogburn clan recognized was God and a gun. Governments didn't build your home, make your clothes, hunt your meat, or defend your life. When it came to the law, a man rolled his own from the makings of his individual ideas of right and wrong. Franklin had lost his father from a disease incurred in a Confederate prison camp. As a teenager, he fell under the influence of his Jayhawker uncle, Henry Page Cogburn, the man who ran General Albert Pike out of Arkansas in an attempt to steal the gold General was said to have embezzled from the Confederacy. Bad blood already existed between the Cogburns and Deputy Trammell long before that fatal morning in 1888. Trammell had been working undercover to identify moonshiners here and apparently used a lot of strong-arm tactics with the Cogburn womenfolk while the men were away. Well, on the day before the gunfight, Deputy Marshals Trammell and a Reuben M. Fry, along with 15 men and a posse, had arrested Joseph Peppers, Franklin's brother Bill, both of them. Franklin led Fayette and 3 other hard-riding mountain boys to confront Trammell and the 2 posse members. Knowing the kind and numbers of men they were up against, nearly every man in the county was either a Cogburn kin or friend. Deputy Fry went to Fort Smith for help. He left 4 deputies in Black Springs to guard Bill Cogburn, but they had decided to flee on horseback to Hot Springs. The Cogburns pursued them, and the deputies just managed to get their prisoner on the train to Fort Smith. A reward of $500 per man was posted in the newspapers for the capture of Franklin, Fayette, and 3 others. Fearless of the counts and seeing a way to get the reward, Franklin had his father-in-law, Joseph Sperling, turn him over to a grand jury set to indict Trammell's murderers. The court was scared into inaction when a large number of the Cogburns showed up armed to the teeth at the Montgomery County Courthouse. Much like the officers today, the murder of one of their own had Judge Isaac C. Parker's force of deputies out for blood. Now, I can tell you, Judge Isaac Parker was sent by President Grant to the territory, Fort Smith, to manage Oklahoma Territory and all of the surrounding area because the lawlessness was completely out of control and they weren't fooling around. He hired a force of deputy marshals that would be renowned, and they were Indians, they were black men, they were all races. He didn't care. And there were some famous guys, Heck Thomas, Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves is, you might want to check out my friend Rhett's channel, Ready for History, R-H-E-T-T-Y. I think he did something on Bass Reeves, but so anyway, they were assigned to clean up the area, and they were really a rough and tumble group because they were dealing with a rough and tumble crowd of outlaws here. No fooling around. And he was called the hanging judge because he sentenced a lot of guys to death. They didn't fool around, and you couldn't. You couldn't fool around. Let's walk over here. I see some flowers here that are down. Just take a moment out to fix this. All right. That looks a lot better. So yeah, it was a tough crowd, both sides, and they had their clashes, and this was just one of them. So back to the story from the book. Pressure was put on the county to form another grand jury, and this time it indicted Franklin and Fayette. Despite the indictment, Franklin remained free for 7 months, perhaps due to the threat of his marksmanship and a fast horse. Franklin's family knew that the hanging judge would never give up in his quest to bring Franklin to justice. So in March of 1889, the outlaw turned himself over to Deputy W.J. Hopper. Franklin was tried, found guilty on a conspiracy charge to murder, and he was sentenced to 2 years in the Ohio State Penitentiary, along with a $1,000 fine. When asked on the witness stand if he had shot Deputy Trammell, he replied, "No, but I was a well-wisher to it." Arkansas newspaper man Charles Portis scattered in his True Grit novel bits and pieces of the real Indian Territory lawmen and outlaws. John Franklin Cogburn, Deputy Reuben M. Fry, One-Eyed Deputy Marshal Cal Whitson, Joseph Peppers, Lucky Ned, Joseph Sperling, Maddie's grandfather, and Henry Starr's bank robbing accomplice, Frank Chaney, Scarface Tom Chaney. Portis had asserted his iconic deputy marshal as a collage of different men, but it said Rooster Cogburn really existed. And he was named John Franklin Rooster Cogburn with 2 good eyes and a tail of his own. Now, this is just part of the story from the book, and we'll have to go check out the book together, because that, just reading that part is it's really intriguing. And I gotta believe if it's his grandson, you got the last name. You know, what do you think it's got to be? Well, let's find his grave. It's actually right over here. Beautiful country here, guys. Yes, beautiful. Little stone right here. Right here. Reverend Franklin Cogburn, 1867 to 1912, at rest. And you look at that picture, he looked like a grizzly bear. So as I stand here, I guess I have the question that we can all ponder, even after reading the book. I guess my question is going to be, is this man here at the grave, was he the True Grit? Was he the, I mean, he didn't wear the eye patch, but was he that man? Or was he a composite of several men? That's the question, but rest in peace, Reverend Franklin Cogburn.